Hi, my name is Jaksik, aka Annika. Welcome to my channel. And here I make videos about adult coloring and art and sometimes mythology as part of my videos. Just, life and colors. That's pretty much it. And now it's this time of the month. And by this time of the month, I mean completed pages. Today is 1st of June when I'm filming this video, and here I am with my chicory drink and my favorite cup. Do you have your own cup? I can't show you the cup, obviously, there's drink in it, but it has dogs in it. And this is the cup that nobody else is allowed to take because I love the size, I love the shape, I love the thickness, everything is just right. And it's my cup. And that's the cup I always drink my fake coffee from, because I kind of dropped coffee about a year ago or so, and now I'm drinking kind of a chicory drink, which is kind of like imitation coffee. So, okay, that was totally off the topic. Now, I am going to clean all that off the table, and I'm going to show you my WIP situation first. This is going to be a long video because, surprisingly, for a while it seemed that I wouldn't get any pages done for May. And I actually got a decent amount of pages done, and quite a few of them fairly complicated, no, at least techniques-wise. So there's quite a lot to talk about. Before I get to that, I am going to show you some of my WIP-s, because this is one of these months again, okay, where I just start, and half of the time don't get anywhere. Okay, so this is the pile, and these are not obviously all my WIP-s. These are kind of like, the active ones that I either started this month or moved this month. There's other ones that are just, sitting there. For example, my beloved Bridgerton WIP, which I now have told myself, this is my body color with colored by Maya. We both kind of are sitting on this one. So I've promised myself that this month now, the first or second week, I am going to get it done. I have also promised to kind of film some of the process, because it's all acrylic based. Everything is acrylic paint here, basically. So I just, want to put some pencil on top, some extra shading, and these bits need to be colored in, which won't take long. And what will take long is if I go in there and do a shading here. This is a couple of hours work to get all that done. But, it's kind of also mindless. So, I can just sit there and not think of anything and just mindlessly color those curlicues and leaves. Anyways, I will get it done. But there's more. Oh, there's so much more, because I kept starting this one. Okay, I got myself this book. It's been on my maybe yes, maybe no book list for a while. If you're not new here, you probably know that I have this huge weakness of mythology and fairy tales and fantasy and everything connected to that, kind of very storied pages. I will want to have the book. So I've been looking at this book for a long time. Crystal Vogel's, I feel her style is very nostalgic, kind of very oldie worldy, old kind of children's books illustration style. And I do like it, but I'm not like overly crazy. I wouldn't do too many of these pages, because they're kind of, then I would get tired of them, because they are very cutesy. But for occasional kind of bit of work, yeah, love it. Also, it's obviously fairy tales, but I still kind of hate that these books are on the, they're not sewn anymore. They're all glued. And already, I've just opened this page, and you can already see how this is starting to kind of crack, and I am afraid that it's going to fall apart. There is kind of like textile or something, or tape, that is kind of supposedly holding it together, but I do not think that it's going to be enough to hold this book together. But you know, we'll see. Maybe I am utterly wrong and I have to say sorry and apologize. And it's actually great. And I started this Red Riding Hood page mainly because I wanted to test. I know that this paper dislikes anything like water-based. It just goes through. And I was trying to test if, you know, maybe there's a little bit of difference this time, because I've had her books before and they just, everything sunk through the paper. But I tried here, those are Prima watercolors. I just, you know, got carried away. I meant to just try in one area to see if it goes through or not. And it didn't, so I just got carried away and did quite a lot of the basing. And then I tried water-based markers as well, you know, red. If, you know, red doesn't go through, kind of that vibrant red, nothing will. And here you are, nothing went through. So I don't know if they've changed the paper they printed, or, you know, something has changed, because I have a different book, I think kind of like Spring or something like this book from her. But the first one that was published essentially. And that one just, you know, nothing. You could use nothing that was water-based without it going through. But no, yeah, you can. And I do like those small, like it really annoyed me because I do like those small ones, you know, small illustrations that are, you know, often would be just kind of this perfect little illustration to complete if you don't feel like doing something big. But they would always be ruined, you know, if you wanted to do something on this page. So there's a hope. The next one is just very, very quick one, is that I had alcohol markers in my hand and I felt like putting down a big swath of alcohol markers. So I did the skin and hair for this face here. I am planning to do dark skin tutorial next with kind of a base and pencils on top, and it doesn't really matter, you know. I could do it on the acrylic wash base, I could do it on alcohol marker base, and the principles are the same. So this one is alcohol markers, but there's so much kind of sketching and hatching lines on this face that I don't think it's actually very good for tutorial. I might just do it, you know, when I feel like kind of doing a quick portrait, you know, pull it together. But I never actually planned to finish it much. I just wanted to put some color down. It happens sometimes. And then this one, which is one of my project pages, it's Greek mythology is that book, and it is of Japanese origin. Lovely paper. Of course, you have to be careful with water, but you can use some water. But I haven't on this page. And this one is, I'm doing the middle part of it with Crayola pencils, and I'm using only these pencils. They are 12 set of pencils, but they're double-sided, so it's 23 colors, because there's white there as well, and I don't consider that white to be, like, it's nothing. It's not even a pencil. It's so useless. Maybe as a burnisher, but I, you know, can't see any use for it. And I wish it wasn't here. It had another color instead of that white. But there, it would look like this. And I, you know, I'm doing everything here, all the colors that I, you know, put down here and all the variations. I just kind of color mixing and playing with it, and I kind of want to film the whole process. Well, I did the sky without filming it, but I did film the clouds, and I did publish also how I did the sea, and I want to do the bull and Europa also. And then the frame I did with, well, I just based it with water-based markers. I don't know how much shading I'm going to put. I don't think I am going to do much shading. I kind of want it to be very different, you know, almost flat compared to the central image, so they wouldn't kind of compete with each other. And I also put a lot of kind of Calero watercolor here, so it looks really nice in real life, and all the frames and the flowers have Calero in them, and it's pretty. So that is going to be, I think, a very nice page once I finish it. but I will film it, and I plan to film it now in June, because I had so many other projects going on in May that I just didn't get to it much. This book, I was testing the Kuretake new granulating watercolors here in the background, and I was just watching them out and testing, you know, how they lay on the paper. And of course they're fun, you know, they were always going to be fun. And then I thought I gave all the butterflies kind of it's water-based marker base as well, and I just need to now finish. And I did all the dots, you know, there's on Carolina's work, there's often, I can show you in some other page that isn't finished. You can see those black dots. I usually change their color. I make them either white or yellow or whatever kind of that would go with the page, because I think it looks better. So I did that bit as well. And now I based the flowers and the butterflies with water-based markers, and the only thing now to do is to go in with do the pencil shading, which, you know, won't be horribly long, but, you know, it'll still take a little while, so I can't really, I don't know if you can see it very well. Hopefully the focus is all right, because sometimes my phone is acting up about focus. Then I did a flip through of this book, which is all about the dog. Very excited about this book, very excited about the art in this book, the paper in this book. It's absolute jackpot if you are into dogs and kind of, you know, coloring dogs. And just, you know, it's, even if you're not hugely dog crazy, it's just good coloring pages. And the paper just pretty much is good for everything. It's absolutely fantastic, and as you can see, beautiful pages of kind of a storied, more scenes. There's some of them are, you know, kind of dog portraits as well, but most there's kind of like those scenes which are really cool. So love these. And I'm definitely a dog person, which does not, okay, once again repeating, does not mean that I'm not, you know, I dislike cats. Okay, and I just did a test of this one with watercolors, just, you know, kind of a quick on camera, how the watercolors lay down. They lay down fantastically, they move from the paper, they stay wet for a while, they don't sink into the paper, and nothing goes through. And there's not even like, there's a little bit of like slight, like any paper would have, even very good, you know, have this bit of a wave. Other than that, it's fantastic. And then my beloved saga, I'm now getting really into Maria Trolle. For years I had a couple of her books. I kind of liked them, but I just couldn't get into them. I wasn't coloring them. I was kind of thinking, oh, they're lovely and they're fun, and, you know, going through the books, not doing anything with them. And now I finally kind of got her, and it's mostly thanks to her newer books, I think. So I have this WIP here. This was the page I got my hand lotion. I had put hand lotion on my hand, and then I was working on the page next to it, and there was a big stain of it here, so I was trying to figure out how to remove it. And I let it kind of just sit for a while, and that kind of helped as well. And then eventually I was kind of trying to blot, you know, with kitchen paper and stuff like this. And then I just went, okay, I'm just going to try. And I went in with watercolors, and lo and behold, it worked fine. But yeah, then I lost, you know, all the inspiration for this page. So I don't know when I'm going to finish it. At the moment, I don't feel anything for this page. So we'll see. We'll see when I get there, or if I get there. This happens sometimes, that you just lose the love. And this is it's a book of dragons. Of course I was going to get a mythographic book about dragons. Come on. Was that really a surprise? I don't think so. Okay, anyway, taking my drink. It's kind of cool now, but it's fine. It's a warm day, not a bad thing. So this is the dragon spell, and Joseph Katchenbang, and of course it's fantastic. And I was testing the paper once again, you know, can you dissolve water-based marker directly on the paper here? Yes, you can. I was just testing that alone, but of course you can also just, you know, put water-based marker on the palette or just piece of plastic, which happened in this case, and just work it kind of blending on the paper. And I'm based this page. Basing is all done. I now need to go in. Basically, you know, there's no pencil work left. I've been thinking for a while now that I should really do kind of like full color long in a style of like Eric does them, a bit like this, that, you know, that I don't show every single step, but I show the principle of what I'm doing, and then I kind of move on to next element and I show how I'm doing that. So if you're interested in that, leave it in the comments that yes, you want it, and I might do something like this, because I do love mythographic pages, and I also love the results, you know, because sometimes you might love the process, but the results are not that great. But I do usually like my pages in mythographics, so hopefully you'll you know, have interest, and then I can do kind of color along, pick a page and do a mythographic page with you, and see, you know, if that's of any interest. Anyways, no, that's it. That's all I'm going to show of all I remembered. I'm not surprised if there wasn't, you know, maybe there was more, but I don't remember. Anyways, next thing is, well, I just wanted to kind of also almost like a reminder for myself. I think for me, buying this thing was a mistake. This is the 2025 coloring planner, and don't get me wrong, it's absolutely great. I do understand how it would be super useful for people, and especially people who really enjoy journaling and planning and, you know, kind of recording everything. Whereas for me, I think the better choice would have been just to buy a much slimmer kind of just notebook, and write down, you know, a couple of things in there for each month, instead of having this, because I feel that it's so wasteful. The only thing I'm really using it for is essentially, you know, these pages where I kind of put the completed pages down, and then if I remember, then I also write down the monthly statistics for Instagram and YouTube. That's it. And that's a huge waste, because there's like, I'm not that person. I'm not that person that records the purchase this month here and to buy here, because I have this, you know, on my phone anyway. I will never be recording, you know, I don't care what day I colored, what day I didn't. Body colors, I will usually put them, I should probably have them as a kind of a page, but I usually put the information next to my coloring kind of info anyway. So, you know, or kind of ongoing body colors might be a separate area altogether, because monthly it doesn't really make much sense to me. Prompts and challenges, same thing. I mostly have them on my phone. I track pages on my phone in actually project management little app, which I find really handy for kind of quickly recording the pages and the photos of the pages, and I get much better picture from there, you know, what I've colored and how far I am with things. So this thing is, yeah, it's really great if you know, are into planning, and by all the means, please don't take as disparagement. It's just, it's wrong for me. I feel wasteful because there's so many empty pages I leave behind. And, you know, while I have it, I'm going to use it. But, you know, once the year is gone, or possibly before that, because that empty space just annoys me. I will probably just move into regular A5 kind of a notebook or a sketchbook and just leave that one behind, because it's not for me. And now I know. I didn't know before I tried, so now I know. Anyways, too much talk. This one is a body color, and I put the name of my body on the screen, and I wrote that book in my all my completed pages, you know, small books, and I said to everybody, if anybody wants to have a body color in this book, please contact me and I'll happily do it with you, because I love this little book. And she contacted me, and we decided to do this page. It's Tender is the Nude. I was like, well, obviously it's a pun of Tender is the Night, which you can just see, it's precious. The art of Chris Riddell is just fantastic. I will of course put her page here next to it, and you can see I love how she went into the kind of this oldie worldy kind of a neon vibe in the bar. There's like neon highlights on the wall and on the tail of the newt and everything, so I really like that idea. So our pages are very different, I think, you know, considering you know, the color scheme and everything is very different. And mine used I put water-based markers down as a base, just plain water-based markers, which I was afraid that they would go through, but no, they didn't. I used these ones, Ohuhu art markers, which I don't think you can get them anywhere nowadays anymore, but I have them and I love them. They're like Ohuhu's answer to Tombows, essentially. They almost, you know, identical with the brush and other felt tip. And then I had on top, let me check out, it's Artex pencils, and then of course some Longo gel pens. And it was a quick and fun page. And then since I was in this book, I also did the Wuthering Tights, which I think this, if this is probably the best depiction of Heathcliff that I've ever seen. It's obviously Wuthering Heights. Well, I don't really need to clarify that, but yeah, I thought it came out fantastic. And in this one I actually tested, can I do watercolors in this book, as I, you know, the paper is very smooth, and to get nice vibrant result like I that I enjoy in this book with pencils alone is very hard, because pencil goes down very pale and layering isn't really very, you know, it's just, you know, doesn't work very well. So it's not paper I enjoy particularly for pencils. So I put down watercolor base. I think they were Prima watercolors. Once again, I had the set out and I just pulled it. And I was afraid, oh, everything is going to go through. But no, as long as you kind of pre-mix the color and kind of quickly apply in one layer, kind of, I wouldn't go doing any gradients or working wet on wet, because then it definitely would go through. But if you just put quickly kind of pre-mixed, kind of, you make a puddle in your palette and put it down quickly, you can absolutely use watercolor here as a base as well. So I think it came out cool. And what pencils did I have on top here? Oh, it was Artex pencils again, because I obviously had them out. And they worked really well on the watercolor base. Artex pencils are lovely on watercolor base, by the way. This book, I usually kind of either have breather pages or kind of a, yeah, very chill coloring. This paper is very bad with water. Even I was testing here with very light, very tiny bit of watercolor here in this bit, and it goes through like this. I swear it's almost worse on the back. This is how bad it is with water-based media. so I can't really use a water-based markers or, you know, anything here. And I then just tested. I put down Daniel Smith watercolor base ground, sorry, watercolor ground, which I would show you if I had it in my hand here, but I don't have it at the moment on the desk. I have the core one, which I haven't really tried yet. I got this one also to try out, so I will, eventually I will. And I put that down here and, you know, to try out how the watercolors would work then. But unfortunately, I had kind of put a good layer at the back, at the bottom, but somehow maybe I diluted it too much or wet the brush and didn't realize that I didn't have much of the medium on the brush. Basically, the top didn't have much medium at all, so the bottom is all right, you know, nothing went through the back at the bottom, but the top is like really bad because I went really to town here. I wet this paint, I soaked it, I did, you know, big gradients, added more and more and more watercolor, and, you know, I explained how I try to usually be careful with, you know, how you shouldn't move your brush, you know, to get the color to go to the other side of the page, you know, at the top. But once I realized that, oops, you know, the top isn't properly, you know, there's no ground there and it's going to go through anyway, I stopped being careful. So it went through. In the video where I explained how to protect your page, I stopped being careful at all, and, you know, it was, you know, there was no protection at the top of the page, so it went through really badly on the other side. It's like bad. But it's literally, you know, paint going through. The top didn't have any protection. And then when I was, you know, usually I'm kind of careful doing brush movements here, so I won't pull the paint underneath, but I just, you know, stopped being careful because I knew that it was going to be bad anyway. But the page itself is Rosa and White Knight's watercolors, and then some gel pens. And that in the clouds here, the kind of a like slightly sparkly, really interesting. I don't know if you can see it. It's actually an acrylic glitter marker, which it's one of my favorites. It's really cool. It's Spectrum Noir metallic flip markers. They are really fantastic, these ones. They have like kind of color variation type of a thing, that, you know, they have a different glitter color to the ink color, so, you know, they give cool effects. And this one is brown technically, but it actually presents more really dark, and I mean really dark purple, because the glitter is really dark purple glitter, and it looks really cool, and it's really great for kind of a really dark areas like tree brown, you know, kind of a trunks, or, you know, kind of giving this cool, really dark effect in graphic pages, especially like this one, because this is, you know, not super realistic. It has that kind of a graphic nature. So yeah, it was fairly quick page. Most of the work was here done with watercolors. You know, I put down firstly the big kind of a light effect, and then I put down, you know, kind of different colors into the hills, and, you know, kind of the cactuses and plants, and made the clouds really dark red. And then I just did some little bit of very little pencil work, it's tiny bit in the plants, really, you know, kind of to give some extra shading and darkness. And those are done with Erotitan pencils, so you can see there's very slight sheen to Erotitan, not very strong, but, you know, you can see slight difference. And yeah, those are all done with gel pens. So it was an easy page and fun to do. Then the book, I worked a lot this month, to the extent that I'm now kind of like, I don't think I want to see that book for a while. No, don't get me wrong, it's a lovely book, okay, and I really like it. But I did do 3 pages in it, and, you know, there's other WIP-s here now as well. Yeah, probably not going to be working in this one until next May. Okay, this is another WIP. I showed here how to do the pencil background with colorless blender, alcohol blender. Here comes my coffee again. Well, my fake coffee. Just alcohol blender is what I used to kind of smooth out the background, and it was to show how I did this background, or the principle of how I did this background, because there were quite a lot of questions about this one. And it's, you know, this one kind of came out smoother, because I don't know, it always comes out better when you're not in front of the camera. And I didn't really put huge effort into it as well. I just grabbed first pencils that were at hand, and I just put down the pencil, kind of loads of pigment, because I need loads of pigment to be able to do the alcohol marker kind of blending like this, blending it out with alcohol markers. So yeah, oops, that just keeps falling. And the rest of the page is done. I did a tutorial of how to do this mermaid tail. It's on my YouTube channel as well. I showed, you know, exactly, you know, how I do this kind of like iridescent effect, and I think it came out fine. And let me see, seahorse. It's yeah, it's polychromos pencils mostly, everything on this one. So everything except the background was done with Artex pencils, but the whole seahorse and the mermaid is with polychromos pencils, but it was all on the base of alcohol markers. So I based everything with alcohol markers first. And then I used on these, and I don't know if you can see how they sparkle. I discovered, I got myself this paint. It's Glamour Dust ultra fine glitter paint, and it's really nice on top of, you know, kind of like green, because it's, you know, it's not opaque really. But it's really lovely to put on top of the pencil work, because you can see all the shading through it, but you get this really lovely magical glittery effect, and I adore it. It's really pretty. So yeah, I can see myself using that one a lot. So yeah, it's not a hugely complicated page, but it took a fair while, because, you know, there was a lot of covering of the lines and stuff like this. And the line covering is done with acrylic brush markers here, mostly. Some gel pen as well, but mostly acrylic brush markers. And then, of course, you know, all the dotting is gel pen. And those are, once again, these two Langua gel pens, depending on, you know, if I need a finer, more detailed effect, or kind of, you know, strong, really opaque effect. These two gel pens are the best of the best. Honest, I have had Uniball, I have had Sakura, I have been annoyed with them. I haven't used gel pen for a year because I didn't just didn't like how they worked. And now these two are have totally converted me from acrylic paint pen to gel pens. Just love them. Next page. Okay. This one, background is done with chalk pastels, and this one was, let me see, can I find it? Huh, do you know what, I have forgotten to write this one down, I have a feeling. Yep, I forgot to write it down. But I know that I used for this one, I think they were Artex chalk pastels, or, you know, soft pastels for the background. And then I think it might have been polychromos, the pencil. And then, you know, the writing here is obviously, you know, kind of golden, and it's done with this metal golden shine marker, the golden markers. We, you know, all know and love them. The only problem with them is that they tend to clog fairly easily, and also that they don't last terribly long. There's not a huge amount of ink in them, but they are very, very beautiful. Like one of the best, you know, pure metallic. They're not that glittery, they're kind of metallic effect gold, and it's really nice. And the tips, the leaves are done I just put was it water-based marker or alcohol marker? I just put one layer down, and instead of shading them, I took a neon acrylic brush marker, and I did the tips with the neon acrylic brush marker, and then I put it down on the tip and then quickly blended it out with a water brush. And I got this effect that looked like I had done any shading, and I didn't. So that's cheating again. And yeah, there's a lot of gel pen, you know, all the dots and everything. So not very complicated page. Then what else is there? Then there's, are there any other pages that I have here? Okay, this is a WIP again. I showed how to do the chalk pastel background. This one I'm not going to touch, you know, probably, no, at least for months, but I suspect it won't be touched before next year. And then there's this one, which is chalk pastel background again. So this is basically, you know, very light at the top, and then some neon, just put stripes here, and then kind of dark colors and very kind of variated colors, you know. There's, I shaved off quite a lot of different colors, and I varied the colors and did the edges then with the darkest color I could. And then I put it at the bottom here, you know, where I just couldn't get as dark as I wanted. With chalk pastel, I did put a little bit of indigo, I think, pencil, and brought up some kind of like grasses as well with pencil. So yeah, those are Arteco soft pastels, and they are, yeah, base is Awogo markers, and then the most of it is done with polychromos, except the skin and hair. The tail, I did a tutorial of the tail also on my channel, so if you want to check it out, if you're interested. And this was done with alcohol markers and polychromos, but the rest of the mermaid, the face and the hair, is done on a whole marker base, but it's done with erogen pencils. And I think erogen pencils, this is one of my kind of big fantastic discoveries this month, that I really like erogen pencils on alcohol marker base, or, you know, possibly on their own as well. I haven't really tried them on their own much, but I like them on this paper, on this really cheap, because this is pretty much the worst of Amazon paper. Kind of a really soft, kind of textured, toothy Amazon paper. They're really good on this one. Really enjoyed them. And there's a lot of kind of gel pens. The anchor is done with Calero watercolors, and I kind of varied the colors slightly here. I kind of blended so it would have a bit of kind of natural subtle shading to it, so it wouldn't be very flat. And then I outlined it with, don't remember which color exactly, but they're Spectrum Noir metallic paint markers. They're like, look like this, and they're like literally, those go through the paper though on any, because I think they're solvent paste, but they have this really kind of a flat sheen effect. They're cool, and they have good coverage as well. They cover pretty much any line. So yeah, a lot of different pencils here. And then I also can show you the disaster. I forgot to put the sheet when I was doing most of the kind of the basing with water, with the alcohol marker. I forgot to put the sheet down. So I essentially, this was actually one of the pages I wanted to do, but I absolutely ruined that page because I forgot to paper down. See, those things happen to all of us. And I've been just kind of trying to figure out, you know, if I can or will be bothered trying to save it. This is the skin, you know, trying to do it with acrylic marker so it would look decent. At the moment I'm not happy, and you know, the pencil doesn't lay down on these markers very well, so I'll think if I just abandon it or if I will eventually try to save it. And that's it in that book, but that to me was plenty. And here we have Saga, my beloved Maria Trolle now, because yeah, I'm really getting into her stuff. So I've been pretty much, I did one page in the middle when I was supposed to do Snow White. It was a challenge that you need to do Snow White, and I did a Snow White page, which I think came out fun, and I really like it. So but mostly I've been kind of almost starting from the beginning. So, you know, I did this page. I haven't done this one, and I don't know if I will. I did this one, which I'm very happy with, the Puss in Boots. And then now I did this page, which is a fairy tale that I do not know. It is called, I have this sheet, because it's a Swedish edition. I obviously can't read Swedish. So I printed out the legend. And this is Skutt the Moose and Princess Tuvstar, and which I probably butchered pronunciation wise. Anybody who happens to be Swedish, please forgive me. I did try my best. And this is what I did. So the frame is done with this is a black Simtap. Black Simtap, Simtaps are great. Simtaps are acrylic brush markers. They come in different size sets. They are basically, you shake them and there's a kind of a like pump at the top, which you can push to get more brush paint into the brush, so you can get pretty opaque results. For really opaque result, you know, really kind of a solid result, you know, this is 2 layers. It's always better to do 2 layers. No, it just looks neater. But you can get away sometimes with 1 layer even. So this is the black that I used here, and then the sky here was done with 3 acrylic brush markers. I think they were Langua ones. I just blended them each other to get this slight gradient in the sky, and gel pen stars on top, and all the rest was based with watercolor. Do I remember which watercolor? No. Do I have it written down? I doubt it. No, I actually don't have it written down what watercolor it was. It might have been Rosa Gallery, I think. Yeah, it was Rosa Gallery. And then I worked on top of the watercolor with different, like here in the trees, I did the shadows first with kind of a like texture first with water-based markers, and then went over with pencils to kind of smooth it out to get this kind of a more, you know, distance result, and, you know, this really strong foreground trees effect. Pencils I used were Artex pencils, and then there's a lot of kind of acrylic brush markers and gel pens here involved. Most of the work, acrylic brush marker work, was done with these, which I find really handy because they're double-sided and they're kind of quick to work with. They're not overly opaque, but sometimes I appreciate that, you know, especially if I'm gonna try to do this soft line coverage, you know, that it wouldn't look like a line, you know, just a stripe on top of something. You know, if I kind of try to softly blend into the image, I actually like that it isn't immediately very opaque, that I can kind of layer it you know, going narrower and narrower until you have this soft effect, like here at the top, you know, under the white moose's feet. So I think they're great. They are Kwong Na. They have tip like this. They're brush markers. My hands get dirtier and dirtier. Just you just need to ignore it, okay? I have no hope. And they are pretty much, you know, come with this swatch chart as well, so you can see here, you know, they all come in pairs, and you can see, you know, which colors appear with each other, and they have numbers, so, you know, anybody who is very, very kind of, you know, I need to have numbers on my pens and markers. These ones do have numbers. So just, you know, these are the ones I mostly used here for most of the kind of a blending and work. And I think it came out fun. I'm not happy with the girl, because the face was so tiny, and I just kept going wrong with it. But it doesn't really matter, you know, it's so tiny here that mainly that, you know, you can see that she's kneeling there at the water. So yeah, it's not my best page, but it's all right. Came out okay. It came out okay. Then a little bit of a break from mermaids, because there's a lot of mermaids ahead, trust me. There's a book called Winged Beauty, and it has fantastic paper. It's published by fairymag.com, and has, you know, takes watercolor fantastically, you know, nothing goes through. You can really, this is not watercolor that went through, that's the stickles. That kind of, there was water-based marker underneath stickles, and that went through. That, you know, teach me a lesson. Oh, that's another kind of I just randomly put watercolor down. Yeah, okay. I didn't do anything, but I put some color down. I actually don't like how I put it down. I should have kind of wet it better. Anyways, I did a page here. I saw a Corgi page, and I was like, oh, I've got to do the Corgi page, because, you know, it's a Corgi page. One needs to do the Corgi page. And where is it? Where is it? Where is it? Come on. I've lost the Corgi page. Oh, here we are. This is a little fairy riding on top of Corgi. Isn't it just precious? And the base here is different granulating watercolors. I think there's some of it is Rosa Gallery granulating watercolor, and some of it is White Knight's granulating watercolor. Let me find if I have it written down. In Corgi, yeah, it's a mix of kind of granulating watercolors, kind of in all the background and around here. Those are all granulating watercolors. And then everything else is based, the actual image is based with Prima Odyssey watercolor set, which, you know, I always say is a great set for kind of mixing and playing around. And, you know, if you want to get something that is kind of a little all-rounder, good to take with you type of a watercolor set, Prima Odyssey set, really like it. Interesting colors, but you can still do cool mixes. So I did all the basing with that set, and then I put on top Deli pencils and some Prismacolor pencils as well. And then there's Longo gel pens, and I splattered some Calero watercolors. I don't know if you can see. If I move it, you can probably see. I splattered some Calero watercolors onto it. And yeah, there's some sparkly gel pens and, you know, everything. But I think, you know, although there's a lot of kind of different sparkly things and different materials, it still looks kind of very earthy and kind of, you know, natural, that, you know, you could actually see them kind of in this blurry forest background blending in. So I'm actually happy how it came out. It's fun. And it's a Corgi. And so my dog of the month page. And then, oh, there's going to be now so many mermaids, people. So many mermaids. Here we go. This is Portrait of the Mermaid. One of my very much beloved books. Although the paper in it, you know, let's be honest, nothing to love about that paper. It's printed in Great Britain, so it's not the good kind of a Japanese Amazon paper. Well, good, you know, better. But they're also, I think it is slightly better than the US ones, in my experience anyway. Not huge amount, but slightly better. And the one I did is... Gosh, I'm now totally lost the plot. Which one did I do? This is the one I'm kind of planning to do. I think that's the one. Yeah, that's the one I did. Sorry. It's like suddenly I lost the plot. Thing about that was that I sometimes put just randomly kind of alcohol marker bases down. And I had already the alcohol marker base down on it, so I just did the pencil work and kind of, you know, decorative work here. So it's Marco Renoir pencils here for shading, and they are very nice on Amazon paper like this. And because of the kind of a unconventional skin tone, like I had very pale kind of a aqua blue base for her skin. So I worked it in different kind of teals and blues and pinks. And I think the skin came out fun. And what else is there? Spectrum Noir flip markers. So those are the very, very sparkly markers I showed to you before. I showed the brown one. I think it might have been, you know, one of these, and, you know, kind of different. It has about... I don't even remember, about 18 colors possibly, or less. No, it has 12 different colors, but yeah, it's really nice and sparkly. And then for those pearls, because they were tiny, and I couldn't really color them properly. So I just used this kind of a dimensional kind of 3D pearl gel type of a thing, which looks really cool in real life. I don't know if it shows, you know, that it's kind of a 3D and actual real tiny, it looks like actual real tiny pearls, but, you know, not as high from the paper as, you know, kind of stick on pearls would be. And I didn't really, you know, care, because I had this page already done. It's the second page in the book, so the texture won't really bother me with coloring any other pages. So I think it came out cool. Quite happy with that one. And then I have this book, which is called Thorough Coloring Book. It's a French version, and I thought usually French version has better paper, and in this case it does not. For some reason, I just can't get the camera to focus on the desk. You know, the moment I put it there, it kind of gets blurry. I don't know. It happens sometimes, but not all the time, but sometimes. Can't do it, you know, can't help it. So I pretty much have to move it around. It's by Alexis E. Thompson, and usually French paper is better, but in this case, no, it isn't. It's actually, I suspect, would have been better for me to get that book in the English version, but it was also very cheap, the French one. So yeah, it's fine. It's fine. I can still work it. And one of the things here, once again, show, you know, I've started to, you know, kind of test watercolor on this page, and it goes down. It's all right. doesn't go through. It doesn't move perfectly, but it does move some bits, so you know it's usable. Here you go. But one of the main issues is that it is glue bound and it falls apart immediately. Like the whole back of the book pretty much fell apart. So I have this black masking tape that I pretty much, you know, taped all the pages back into the book. Just the very little bits, you know, like this. And this is the page I finished. It's I think Queen of Cups is the name of this page. It's in French, obviously. Sorry, bit of coffee. And it's done with so many things. There's so much involved here that it's just mad. It's alcohol marker. A lot of base is done with alcohol marker. Her skin base is done mixed from water-based markers. I have shown that in my coloring blog, you know, how I mix skin bases like this. Then the background here on the sides, it was full of fish, and I thought it was already very busy, like, you know, she was going to be colorful. The fish, you know, those angel fish are very, very kind of a strong colorful presence. So I thought if all the background was really thickly full of angel fish, it just didn't look good. It would overpower the image totally. Plus I just wasn't bothered, you know, coloring a pile of angelfish that I didn't think really worked very well like this. So what I did is that I grabbed, I needed something that was opaque, went down, kind of smooth and flat, and wouldn't kind of, you know, would be easy to apply. So I grabbed, instead of paint, which I probably would have had to do in 2 layers, I grabbed, you know, those Langua. I've been complaining about them. They're now Langua, kind of a thicker nib gel pens, that I did not realize that those were kind of acrylic ones, and you have to press on them to actually get the ink moving. But if you do press on them and you do get, you know, kind of, you have to keep pressing on them. You can't let it go and kind of smoothly apply. You have to keep the pressure on for the ink to flow, but it does give really nice flat and absolutely opaque effect. So I grabbed, I think it was this one. You can see how much of it is gone, you know, compared to the other one. I did all the background here with this gel pen, but I now can also show you, I don't know if you can see, it absolutely, like, I wouldn't use it on a double-sided book. I don't think you can see, but the paper is absolutely banged up, like it has grooves in it from the pressure I had to apply to get this kind of a flat background. I do like the result though, you know, it is lovely and flat and, you know, kind of matte. So very, very much like the result, but the process was a bit of painful because I had to kind of keep really pressing onto the gel pen, and also yeah, it was not gentle on paper. And then because it now looked flat and uninteresting, I took another Langua gel pen, which might have been something like this, but possibly was slightly different color. Those are the glitter ones, Langua glitter gel pens. And I did this kind of a curly whirly pattern, just free-handed it in the background there, so it wouldn't be totally kind of empty. And I think it looked really cool. I think it, you know, kind of really works on this one. And the Mermaid is based with alcohol markers, and then I did use pencils. I think it was mostly Artex pencils, kind of in most of her, but I think I did her hair and face I did in polychromos, and I did it because I've had been asked to do how to color profile, so I filmed how I color a profile. with polychromos, and it's going to be up now this week, quite shortly. So one of the videos this week is going to be how I color the profile. So she's going to be a video, but yeah, it's a lot of alcohol markers and kind of different mediums. And I also used dimensional pearl gel again here, because there were tiny teeny weeny pearls that I couldn't really do much here. This is also, like, this flat color here is also another kind of acrylic gel pen, you know, one of these colors. I think it was this color here that I used to do the inside of the frame. And then I used for this kind of a gold bit here, I actually used the Simtap gold. So there's a lot of different media here. It's a very, very mixed media page. Yeah, it's not one of my favorite pages because I have to struggle so much with paper and different mediums, and I don't really love the paper at all. I don't love how pencils lay down on it, to be honest, but it's fine. I've done way worse. Now, then what else do I have? Okay, so this one is Underwater Worlds by Renata Kravchuk. And this was an untouched book. I've had that book for a while, and I pretty much, this is fairly kind of recent page. I did the background with acrylic brush markers, and I put them down, kind of, I would put down color a bit, and then I would blend it out as it was still wet, quickly kind of blend it out. And, you know, create kind of like tone variations that way. And I, you know, use several colors so it would, you know, have more interest throughout the page. And then I used Rosa Gallery watercolors to base everything, kind of. And I didn't kind of cover them fully, you know, you can still see in a lot of cases that watercolor. I used really vibrant colors, so, you know, a lot of it would still be actually watercolors, but I did put pencils on top. So there's what pencils did I use? I used a mixture of pencils. I used some Colorsoft pencils, actually, you know, here, and I also used Castle Arts pastel tints, kind of to add some interest, you know, kind of, and variation in the pastels, and I think it came out all right. And there's of course a lot of different metallic watercolors, because all those bubbles and, you know, parts of the ship, and, you know, kind of all the nails and bits on the mermaid, and, you know, there's metallic watercolor pretty much everywhere. Mostly watercolor, not that much of a gel pen, or there's a couple of, one acrylic flip marker that I used here in these bubbles. It's kind of a color variation. They're dark blue or gold. Yeah, I kind of feel that I should have done a bit higher contrast here, because everything kind of blends a bit together. But yeah, it's a fun page, you know, not every page needs to be a masterpiece, and that was just a really fun page. And then my last mermaid page before we move on to different stories here is Sirène du Monde. I probably said it so wrong, I apologize. By Diane Defoe. This book is very popular always during Mermaid, but I didn't really feel like this book this year. But I had this page kind of in WIP stage. I had the background done already, and I had some, you know, ships based, and I had some bits of the mermaids kind of based, but the background had leaked into the mermaids pretty badly in some areas, so I kind of had to do a lot of fixing with acrylic markers and darker color alcohol markers, you know, but I do like how the background looks, you know, the water background. So I thought I'll finish it. So this one is mostly, was it, I think it was Prismacolor. It was Prismacolor pencils, yes. The Prismacolor pencils on top of acrylic markers and alcohol markers. It's kind of a variety of bases here. And then there's a lot of gel pen, of course, and also some flip marker, those silver glistening kind of dots, or by the Spectrum Noir flip markers again. Those are, I don't know if you can even get them now anymore, because Spectrum Noir seems to be dropping a lot of the lines, and I don't think they're doing very well financially. Or maybe they're getting, you know, back up again. So yeah, a very kind of a simple, fun page. I always have trouble coloring her faces for some reason. I don't know why. I just somehow struggle doing Diane Dufour's faces. But hey, not too bad. No, then there's one also kind of a, it's from the category I found it on my desk. It was a printout from Joey Art. I had printed out several of her stuff, and I had them kind of like on A5 format printouts, and I pretty much had forgotten them on my desk, and I found it, and I just started putting down randomly, you know, the same story. I had acrylic paint pens, you know, the brush ones, and I started kind of putting them down and washing them out with water brush and adding some kind of like random colors. Like here I added some neons just in random spots, kind of, you know, to give color variations. And then I tested with different, you know, kind of leaf bases, and, you know, I just kept adding things. And I don't know, I think it was Artex pencils, yeah, because there's a lot of water-based, like these, there's a lot of water-based marker, but there's also a lot of acrylic markers. Like these lemons have a water-based marker base, but then I have put loads of kind of blending and different kind of layers down here with acrylic brush markers to get that kind of a different effects. And, you know, she is totally based with water-based markers. The hair was done direct with water-based markers, just in a kind of brush marker, you know, brushed up and down. And the base of her skin I mixed with this one again, this you know, these colors, I mixed them together, basically kind of azure blue, really cold, well, cool primaries essentially, cool yellow and cool pink, and then I put them all into the palette and mixed the base, and then Artex pencils on top, and of course lots of gel pens and stuff like this. So it was fairly kind of a quick page to do, and a bit of a relaxer page for me. I enjoy kind of quick rendering of skin. And this is now one book that I, for some reason this month, you know, I worked twice in it. It's one of my favorite books, as you might know if you're not not new here. I really like this book. It's just something about this book that really charms me. It's not the best paper, but it's, you know, kind of workable paper. But just the line art is fantastic. And, you know, capybaras are adorable. So usually I'm not big into books that there's, you know, just one type of animal, you know, it just gets boring. But here, for some reason, it does not, because the scenes are, you know, so different and so fun. And I have 2 body colors in this book this month. And here, let's find the first one. It's this page. And this was a body color with, was it, The Art of Momo is her name. I will put her channel handle here as well. And I will also put her page in here. And she is one of those, she has started her YouTube channel fairly recently, and already, you know, there's kind of color alongs there that are totally worth watching. Like, she's a wizard with pencils. She does really good pencil work, and she has very good understanding of light and shadows and different light effects and very interesting color variations. So absolutely, and very highly recommended, you know, especially if you're very patient and very organized pencil colorist. Totally should be your jam and worth checking out. And her version, of course, is absolutely gorgeous. You know, look at that light effect, you know, how the evening light is glowing onto the capybara's face, and how it's, you know, every little detail, you know, how things are lit is very well thought out. And, you know, beautiful work. From what I understand, she did it on alcohol marker base, and, you know, flawless, beautiful work. Mine, I also went kind of nuts with mine, because I, you know, first I really loved that page, and always, you know, did. So I had put down alcohol marker base as usual. I tend to work in this book with alcohol marker base because it's, once again, fairly textured and fairly thin paper. So if you want a vibrant result, you kind of want, you know, some sort of a base. It just works better. But, you know, you can also, of course, put down here, if you want with water color pencils, you know, it doesn't take much paper, much water, this paper, but it takes some, you know, kind of a careful application. You can use some water media as well. But yeah, it needs some pace, I feel, you know, to get nice results. So here it is, alcohol markers and Prismacolor pencils. You know, I went all out. I took out my Prismas. And because I wanted this, you know, really strong, you know, contrasted shading and, you know, kind of opaqueness of the Prismacolor. And there were several kind of a boo-boos I did here. I did kind of I started in this area, and for some reason, well, not some reason, I thought at first that I was going to have evening scene where there's almost kind of a dark here, and there was going to be like orange, kind of, in a like really strong yellowish light falling on everything. But then I changed my mind, but the orange was already there, so I had to fix it afterwards at Prismas. I went for more of a kind of evening, but more magical evening. There's little kind of a fairy lights flying outside, and you know, everything is kind of a darkish and high contrast. And I used a lot of like here, those plant, the two color thing. I used acrylic brush markers to kind of get rid of them. What happened here was that we talked, you know, when we started with Momo, we talked, you know, how we're going to approach that, and, you know, how do you usually color these pages. And she was saying, you know, how do you usually approach covering the lines? And I kept saying, well, I don't really worry about that. You know, the line art is so integral, and it doesn't really bother me here that it's a thick line art. But then I started looking at it and went, hold my beer. And I pretty much went and took out all the lines, which I didn't previously do here in this book. But now I just, you know, went nuts and pretty much kind of disguised mostly, you know, most lines anyway. And I think it actually looks good for it, you know, all the magic that comes from the book and little pink light falling onto her face. That's all done with acrylic brush markers. You know, there's a lot of acrylic brush marker here, which I think is one of the best tools that now has landed on our desks in last year or two. They really are super useful, and there's so many things that can be done with them. And, you know, same here, like everywhere, there's a lot of acrylic brush marker, and then gel pen, of course, as well. So I really love this page. I think it's one of the best pages I've done. It came out interesting, it came out fun, you know, different. And it took me a while as well, because I was really working all the details, and, you know, kind of, because I went, you know, all out with kind of disguising all the lines and stuff. It's never going to be quick page that way. It's, you know, even the sky here, it's all pencil work to make sure. This I actually did, I think, not Prismacolors. I did the sky with Pablos, because I wanted those Pablo colors, that gradient here, and that kind of a subtle, you know, how the glow is working. And I actually based it with Artex Oros. Basically, it's Artex brush acrylic, alcohol markers. And they have this set which comes in a kind of really handy prop-up box that has 50 pastel colors, I think. I think it's 50. Or is it, it might be 60s. No, it's 66 possibly. Anyway, it's you know, a box of pastel markers, and it has very good colors and not exactly the same as Ohuhu pastel markers, so it's a good supplement, you know, if you want kind of extra colors in pastels. I think there's some interesting colors there. And this one was based first with alcohol markers. I kind of drew those, you know, gradients into the sky, not very smoothly, because I knew I was going to go over them with pencils, and then kind of smooth it out with pencils, and I'm very happy with the result. And second page, well, sadly I don't have, like, I've done the page, but my body for that one was her name is Jessica, and her YouTube channel is All the Colors of Jess. And we decided to do this cowboy capybara. And I don't have her page yet, sadly, for this month. If I do get it before I edit this video, you know, I'm going to put it here. So I can't really at the moment speak of her page, sadly. But her channel is absolutely and 100% worth checking out. She has kind of a very bold, very vibrant style. She uses a lot of, you know, loves using different mixed media, loves using watercolor. She's often very productive. She can do a lot of pages a month, you know, depending on the month, of course, you know, and how her life is going. But yeah, we kind of wanted to do this one, so I'm looking forward to getting her page. Mine is once again based with alcohol markers, and you can see here there's a fair bit of gel pen and acrylic brush marker here as well, and there's Sakura glaze in the capybara's eyes. But yeah, it's mostly like quite a lot of work is actually done already with alcohol markers here. Like all the kind of the sky, there's nothing, no pencil there, you know, all the kind of different textures, and the textures are deliberate. I am, you know, they're not accidental there. I actually wanted the sky to look kind of like textured and kind of lined, almost like that. And, you know, the base of the clouds and the rocks at the back and the sand, the kind of a base of kind of the shading or the texture is also put down with alcohol markers. And then I worked over it with, was it Artex pencils? Yeah, Artex pencils. So I worked over and, you know, kind of added contrast and depth with Artex pencils to everything, you know, the clouds, not much on the rocks, but a little bit on the rocks, and the cactuses, of course, the sand, you know, kind of added darkness at the edges, and, you know, shadow for the capybara. And of course, you know, capybara is also shaded with pencils. But then, you know, there's a lot of acrylic brush marker and gel pen here used as well to kind of soften the lines. Like, for example, at the top of the clouds, I didn't take out the lines because there's very dark colors. So next to the black line, so the black line doesn't really show or kind of stand out. Whereas at the bottom, because I wanted the sunlight, which was coming now from the bottom here because the sun is setting, I wanted to have really kind of a bright bottom of the clouds, so I did that with acrylic brush marker, and then, you know, kind of washed it out slightly as well and softened it. So yeah, there was a lot of fun work here, and I think, you know, the sand looks cool and the light also looks, you know, fairly cool and realistic. I should have probably went a bit too purple with that rock there. I should have probably brought it a little bit more reddish tones into it, but it's fine. Maybe it's very, very far. So yeah, that's it. This should now be it for today. This is all. That is one long video, but I did warn you. And I probably talked too much about everything. You know, I went a bit overboard explaining, but I do tend to do that because you know, people have a lot of questions, and usually if I don't explain, then you just ask me to explain. So thank you very much for staying with me. Hopefully you had okay time. Hopefully you enjoyed yourself and saw something that you liked or something you might want to try yourself. If you do have any questions or, you know, any ideas, just pop into the comment section and let me know. I'm always open to ideas. So thank you very much for watching. Please like and subscribe if you like my channel, so that would really help my channel to get to more people. And bye bye.